John here. Got a question that came in through my Facebook. I figured I'd answer it real quick, seeing about to head to bed and I have a few minutes here. But it's actually a couple questions. The first one is, where do I find the motivation to train the way everybody says I do? And like a second part to that question is, where do I find the time to train like that? And really, the motivation's kind of, it's not real exciting. It's not real flashy. The motivation really is just as simple as, like, you can either do something or not. It's, you know, there's really no middle ground. So I know I can do certain things, so I just do them. It's a choice whether you do it or not. As far as motivation to why I train, as hard as I do, or as whatever, or for the sport. I don't know why I like arm wrestling so much. Just, I don't know. I don't think there's always explainable reasons why. Obviously, it's something that, I just like doing it. Obviously, something that, to some degree, I just took to it. But as far as like the motivation to like train as hard as you can, I don't like being good at things. I like being as best I can at things. There's a difference. I can train pretty much anybody to be good at arm wrestling, but like as far as being great or, beyond that, that's a very difficult thing, and I can't do that for somebody else. They have to do that for themselves. So hard work has really never been all that hard. I don't understand why it's a big deal to work as hard as you can at anything. So maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's just something that, everybody's got. My hard drive's just installed a little different than some other people, so that could be part of it. But, there are things that people do over, they'll choose to do certain things over self-improvement in anything sometimes, that kind of, like if you're willing to sit down and watch TV for a few hours, then, you kind of missed an opportunity. That's always kind of how I felt about it. So definitely doesn't make you, it's not, necessarily a terrible thing. But for me, if I train, 5 times in a week, or let's just say I train 4 times in a week, which is a lot more common on the table, I could get away with training twice and probably still, make progress and maintain what I'm doing, but I would feel bad because I know I can train 4 times, So there is a self-honesty part of it where I'm not going to lie to myself. If I can do something and I have time to do something, then there's really no excuse not to do it. So that's not really you're not going to find that in a meme somewhere, but it's either you do it or you don't. So that's really the motivation. But the time part is a little, well, I can also add to the motivation thing too, like as far as like being on a team and having teammates. Those, your teammates rely on you to show up and train them as well. So if you start skipping practices, you're not making practices, you have to also understand that if you're part of a team, that you're affecting your teammates. They're missing out on whatever benefits you're going to offer them. So I also do think a lot about that, where I owe it to my teammates to show up and to bring the best product that I can bring to them, so that they can reap those benefits, and then I can reap those benefits back. So there's that as well. But as far as the time goes, again, I think most people have plenty of free time. We just, lie to ourselves by saying we're just so busy. But, there's a many nights where, many days where, my day starts like most people's at, 5:30 in the morning, and I don't get home until 11 at night. And there's been plenty of nights like that. It just is what it is. We all have to work jobs for the most part. So, if you're not eating meals on the way to something in your car, then you probably have more time than you think. And that maybe will sound extreme to some people, but it's not a big deal. If you can heat up some food and eat on the way somewhere to training, It isn't a big deal. So there's a lot of time, I think most people have, and some people have families and responsibilities like that, and I definitely understand how hard that is. And maybe you can't train 4 times a week, but you can certainly train consistently once. And time in a car, as far as like some people don't like to. Some people think an hour drive to train is a long time, and it's really not. And it's a hard excuse. Even if you're like talking about gas money and that kind of thing. If you're somebody who you buy a soda once a day, or you stop at McDonald's 2 or 3 times a week, if you cut that stuff out, you can put that in your gas tank. That's kind of stuff that you don't need. And again, if that sounds extreme to you, that's fine. It's just that's how I think, and that's what maybe that goes back to the motivation part. Like, I'm pretty honest with myself that if I could make it to another training, if I gave up, going out to eat once a week, I would stop going out to eat once a week to make that training. So I hope that answers some of your questions. Feel free to shoot them on over. I'll go ahead and shoot that question over to Josh too, because I'm kind of interested myself to hear what his motivations are. But thanks, and thanks for the tuning in. All right, thanks.